is a short story that a friend of mine have collaborated on. I've written the story. It's still in progress, but she's going to do all the illustrations for it. And it's about a cat that goes missing and then has to find his way home. And it's a children's story, so I hope you're all sitting comfortably. It's a fairly long short story, so stop me if I go on too long. Okay. It's called Shadow and the Trustor Trail. I am on the end of my bed where I feel safe, sharing it with my snoring human. Soon I'll walk across her head and rub my wet nose against her face to announce that it's time for breakfast. My meows will alert her to the dirty litter tray that I can't possibly use until it's cleaned. I'm content. I have all I need. But not so long ago, it was a different story. It wasn't always like this, with me purring on the bed while my human snored. Once I was out there, lost, desperately trying to get back to the warmth of this very bed. My human sometimes goes away from the house, leaving me and that other cat, the one with the white bits that interrupt the black, home alone. Most of the time, food appears from nowhere, and my hunger is satisfied, though I still have a human-free bed. It's at these times that I miss my human very much. She needs love and cuddles, and I wonder if she gets them wherever she is. One such occasion, the other cat and I were alone minding up each other's business when a strange human appeared. Scared, I jumped up and ran under the bed. I was only slightly placated when a while later I discovered food in the kitchen. Had my human come back to feed me and left again, or was this some magical appearance? And who was that scary human? A few sleeps later, I made my way to the porch downstairs and sat for a while contemplating life while studying the little hole with a flap that led to outside. I was taking my time to venture out when the door opened at high speed, and in came that same scary human. I ran as fast as I could to get away. I ran through familiar smells and jumped familiar water and still ran. Even a cat as fit as me runs out of steam eventually, and that's what happened. I sniffed at the air to get a sense of where I was, but I could identify no smells that spoke of home, safety and comfort. I realised I was lost. I had never roamed this far, and I felt hungry. I should have checked the plate before I left. Then I caught a sniff of something tasty. Something tasty. I saw it grazing on grass quite near to me. I was a good hunter, so my human often said while taking my live prey from me, so I could do this. I watched and waited, and then crept towards it, slow, and I pounced. So hungry, I went straight for the throat, and it was over. The warmth of the furry creature filled me, and I was completely full. And all that was left was a tuft of white fur. It was time to sleep. I'd find my way home after. Whacken up! Excuse my Shetland dialect, but I will do my best with a little bit. Whacken up! I stirred. Something had invaded my half-awake state, and I was alert. Whacken up! Something poked at me. With no time for a post-nap stretch, I stood up with my fur standing on end and growled. Arched my back in readiness for defence. I growled some more, and I stared straight at a small creature, not much bigger than me. It sort of looked human, but I'd never seen a human so small. Do you play the fiddle, it asked. Well, what's a fiddle, I asked back. No will be the answer then. What are you, I asked, expecting to be told. Why wants to ken? I do. And why are you? My human calls me Shadow. I relaxed my back a bit more and eased into a sitting position. You hear human? The strange creature got excited and shoved his long, thin nose into my face. Yes, I do. Where is it? He asked me. I don't know, I'm lost. I started shaking and my paw came up in defence. The creature, who was not much bigger than me, backed off. In just that short moment, I had a chance to look around me, and I saw nothing but the clumps of purple grass that also grew in between the trees back at home. The tiny man beside me stood out against the purple with his ragged green shirt and short green trousers. I can help do fin your way back, said the green-clothed man. My paw came down, but it was ready to come up again if it needed to. Can you? Can you really? How do you know where I live? The strange little man, whose grey skin suited the green clothes, chuckled in only the way that human-like creatures can. I don't ken where do bide. Then how, I started. Magic, dear cat friend, magic. Eager to get back to safety, I pleaded with him. Let's go then. No, we can't go back till night time. Sorry. No, we can't go back till night time. Why? Because I said so. Something's not right, I thought. But what shall I do until then, I said. Hey, an adventure, he said excitedly. But first, catch me something to eat. I didn't want to go on an adventure. All I wanted was my human and to give her a cuddle and to be cosy and not have to be concerned about fighting for food and hunting for food instead of fun. But I had no choice. I was lost, and I had to trust this long-nosed stranger. I got into tracking mode, still shaking a bit. I learned more about my companion as I set about sniffing my prey, which helped me stop shaking quite so much. He told me he was day-bound. This meant he could not go back to his home until night time, because he wouldn't have enough strength to get there. I didn't understand, but I knew it meant he would be expecting my company for the rest of the day. He told me he lived with a group of other folk, just like him, and that he was a trow. He belonged to a group called the Trustor Trows. Trustor, that was surely where I live, I thought. That meant I must be near. But still no scent. I challenged him about it. We must be near your home, Trow, so we must be near mine. I want to go home now. No until dusk, impatient Catherine. Realising it was no good arguing with him, I carried on with the hunt. We crossed small waterways that we could jump with one stride, and bigger waterways where Trow would jump on my back, much to my dislike, and we jumped fences and climbed walls. Once, a black and white bird with a long red beak and thin red legs flew out from in front of us. I'd seen this type of bird before and thought it looked very tasty. They didn't stay here all the time, just between winters. I didn't like the way this one flew around us in circles, screeching and diving at us until we passed through its territory. If only it kept still, I could have caught it. Soon I got a hint of a scent. It got stronger and stronger, and I found myself down scent of another rabbit. I pounced and did the deed, and was just going to take a bite when Trow stopped me. No, Cat, he shouted. We need to cook it first. What? Cook it? Trow must have gotten into my head because he said, yes, cook it. From nowhere, he produced a bundle of wood, and with a click of his fingers, he made fire out of it. More magic. I was impressed. When the fire was burning well, he threw the rabbit on top. Soon we'll have warm meat, he said, as he poked a mass of fur on the fire. I was interested. I'd seen my human warm food before, and I'd eaten warm food sometimes when she came back with fish. I would have had it cold, but she always heated it up for me. Never ate it herself, so maybe she didn't like it hot. I would have eaten it without the fire, I said to Trow, as he carried on turning and poking the furry meat on the fire. Do like this, he replied. Then he put some in front of me on the ground. I sniffed it and turned it around with my paw, and then set about eating it. It was indeed warm, and not too bad. But I still think I preferred it straight from the kill. We ate and drank from a burn that rushed past us as we relaxed in the warm sun. It was getting low, and I knew night time would not be too long. Time to move, Trow said, as he jumped up and trampled on the fire. Adventure time! Afterwards, he grabbed a red hat out of his pocket and pulled it down over his head. I followed Trow through fields with sheep in, over hills with purple grass, until we came to an old white house, surrounded by small buildings. Trow led me to a very small brown building with a wire-covered door. Look inside, he ordered. So I did, and saw something I didn't believe to be real. It looked like a rabbit that we had just eaten, but it was so big. I kinda wheezed down rabbit, said Trow. I come to visit whenever I'm day-bound, and we tell each other stories. I was a bit surprised that Trow would be friends with something similar to what we'd just eaten. Why bring me here? I was curious about a lot of things now. I need help opening this door. Is this one of those traps? Are the humans going to eat it? If you let it out, can I eat it? Stop with hardy questions, Cat. I wanted to ask more, but Trow's voice warned me off. Just help me with the door. And they ate him. Just as well I wasn't hungry, I thought. Trow pointed to the side of the door where there was a gap between the wire and the wood. This wire is loose. Help me haul it off. Trow grabbed the wire with his hands and took hold of it I took hold of it with my teeth, and we pulled at it together. We pulled for a long time and took rest. If I wasn't hungry before I started, I was now. Then the wire came away, and the door sprung open, and we both tumbled back onto some hard stones behind us. I shook myself to get rid of any stones still stuck to me, and I stared at the now open door where a large head with glaring eyes stared out at me. I could have just lunged at it then and grabbed it by the throat, sharing my kill with Trow. But instead I waited for Trow to make the first move. "Come out," invited Trow. There was no movement from inside. "Come out! Cat wanna hurt you." A muffled reply came from inside the trap. "What did he say?" I asked Trow. "He said, 'He cat, me wabbit. Cat eat wabbit.'" "What's a wabbit?" "A rabbit, of course. Don't you know anything?" "But you said wabbit." "No, he said wabbit. I just repeated it." What a stupid rabbit, I thought. Really do ken nothing," said Trow, shaking his head, almost enough to make the silly red hat that he wore fall off, but his large ears kept it on. "Wabbit, please explain to this cat. He spends too much time hunting your kind instead of conversing." Listen, cat," said Rabbit. So I listened. "I cannot say wabbit the way you say wabbit. I can't help it. Listen to this and you'll see what I mean." I sat still while Rabbit explained. "The wabbit wan along the witch and rescued his 3 trapped friends." "Oh," I said. I felt a bit guilty now for thinking he was stupid, but I wasn't going to tell him that. I lowered my head, trying to look humble, and said sorry very quietly. I glanced at Trow, who had one eyebrow raised, and then Rabbit spoke from the trap, quite clearly this time. "Just fix my door. I want to sleep." "No, come out. Cat has promised to no to eat you." "I did not," I protested. "If you ate this rabbit, you'll never get home." That was enough to silence my hunting instinct. "Okay, come out now." I'd never seen a furry so big. He was like 3 normal furries all wrapped up into one. "Let's go," said Trow with excitement in his eyes. We followed Trow away from the buildings and to a small burn that was shallow enough to walk in. Trow still wanted to climb on my back. I decided not to let him. After the first try, when I threw him off, he tried Rabbit instead. Rabbit didn't seem to mind. I noticed Trow kept an eye on me all the time just in case, but I wanted to go home, so I wouldn't dare attack Rabbit. And anyway, he was the same size as me, so it wouldn't be an easy prey. We kept on going until we came to another small white house with lights coming from inside. When we got close, we could hear music. "Yes," hissed Trow, "they're playing." "Playing what?" I'd not heard this kind of music before, but I liked it. It was very different from the loud music my human listened to out of that box thing. "Fiddle, cat, fiddle!" Then Trow and Rabbit started dancing. They bounced up and down and round and round. I watched them for a long time until Trow grabbed the scruffy loose fur at the back of my neck and grabbed me towards Rabbit. "Dance," he ordered. So I danced, and I was very awkward, but I danced. "I've never seen a cat dance before," laughed Rabbit before he realised that it might be dangerous to make fun of a cat. We danced for a very long time as the music played on. Sometimes it went very fast and sometimes very slow. After a lot of dancing, the music stopped and the lights in the house went out. Then I realised it was dark. At last I could go home. "Come on, Trow, take me home." "Yes, cat, but first we had to tack Rabbit back." "Yes, take me home. I need to rest now." I jumped at the chance to be clever and said, "Oh, is Rabbit feeling wabbit?" Rabbit and Trow looked at each other and rolled their eyes. So we took Rabbit home, and Trow did his best to fix the door to his trap. It was very dark by then, but I had good eyes for the dark, and Trow pulled a small light from his pocket and shone it to guide our way. Again we crossed burns, reluctant with Trow on my back, and purple grass, and walked through trees. I sniffed the air, knowing that soon I would smell familiar scents. It wasn't long before I did, and I saw familiar things. "Do ken why do here, nu?" said Trow. "I'll laugh, I'll laugh, and bid you farewell. Do have been a good friend to a day-bound Trow. I want to forget. Cheerio, my new friend. Take care of yourself." I was happy to be home, but I admitted that I would miss Trow and hoped that one day we'd meet again. I found myself by the old building that my human called a chapel, and from there I could see and smell everything that I loved about my home. The water in the burn was just as noisy as ever, and the stony path leading down to the house was a welcome sight. I could smell my human scent as I got closer. But wait, what was my other smell? It smelled like cat, but not a cat smell I knew. Must be a new cat to the neighbourhood, I thought. Nothing to worry about. So I passed the metal box that had taken my human away, surprised to see it back so soon, and carried on to the little flap in the door and went inside. My human scent was strong. I was pleased and knew that a welcoming plate of food would soon be in front of me. But something wasn't right. There were new smells, scents of animals, unfamiliar to me. Finally, the door to the next part of the house was closed, so I scratched while trying to understand what these new smells meant. The door remained closed, so I resorted to my next strategy, which was to call out as loud as I could. From inside, I heard another cat cry. It didn't belong to the cat I knew, the one with the white bits on it. It was different somehow. Then the door opened, and I was unprepared for what happened next. My human scooped me up to her chest while saying my name over and over again. She held me so tight, it was impossible to get away. I gave her one of my feed me meows, and that made her let me go. She seemed excited to see me. There was food on a plate already, so I started eating it. I heard my human talking on the little black thing that she carried around with her. "He's back! I can't believe it, he's back! Yes, just now. He seems to be okay. He's eating now. Yes, yes, I will. Bye." I always knew humans were strange creatures. Then my human got out her bigger thing that she carried around with her and started tapping away at it. I ate my food and yawned. I left my human in the kitchen and climbed the stairs to the room we slept in. The new scents became stronger as I got to the top, until on the top step, lying by the heated box on the wall, I saw another black cat. And if that wasn't enough, I spotted another one quite close to it. These were the strange scents. And there was another one, but I couldn't make out where that one was coming from. None of these scents were familiar. Just then, my human came up the stairs with another black thing in her hand, and she held it up to her face. "Yes, just now," she said. "Oh, it must be 1.5 years. I can't believe it." Well, it'd been 1.5 years, I thought. She hadn't been away that long. "He looks fine." "No, nothing that I can see." Yeah, I'll get him checked out of the vet." I shuddered at the word vet. I'm not sure why, but I knew it was bad. She finished talking and came over to me and swept me up, just as the black cat by the heated box was about to make its move. I didn't mean to, but a hiss came out of me as she grabbed me. "Shh," she said, "you're safe now. I can't believe you've been missing for over 1 year and then suddenly you're here." I understood human quite well for a cat and soon realised that my human thought I had been missing for a long time, much longer than a day. What kind of magic had Trow used on me? Sorry, we're being very long.